Hey, good afternoon, folks. Today I'm here to discuss a little something different about some of the fragrances that we carry in stock. And what I wanted to go over in the past a while ago was fragrances that could be easily worn as unisex fragrances. The first fragrance I want to start with today is the Tom Ford Blood Orange. And I don't really know when the original Tom Ford Blood Orange was released, but this one was introduced to me about maybe 3 months ago. And I actually layered this with some amber white, and I actually got some compliments off of it. So this one, it doesn't smell too sweet. It just smells like a really nice, clean orange. Doesn't smell like fresh orange, like a natural orange, but it smells more of like maybe more along the lines of tangerine. But this one is a really nice layer. If you want to wear this with something like amber white, those two go together really, really well. It's a very nice summer wear, a very nice spring wear. And the person that complimented me on the Tom Ford Blood Orange, they didn't even know what it was until I had mentioned what it was. And so, I mean, to them, they're like thinking, well, this guy's just wearing a unisex, or maybe it's a male fragrance. So, this is one that I highly recommend. It was marketed to me as a women's fragrance. Now, I don't know much about the original, but this was marketed to me as a women's fragrance. But it might be a unisex, because I know the original designer Tom Ford, it seems like he's moving more over to a lot of, like, most of his fragrances now are like single note and unisex fragrances, which I think is a smart business move on his side, being that when you're dealing with single notes, things tend to be a lot less expensive when you're dealing with raw materials. So this is one of my top fragrances for the summer and springtime, along with the amber white. And the next one that I want to talk about is 1 Million. Now this is something that really was something that made me think, a lot of fragrances are unisex, because originally, now 1 Million was the original one was for men, but when it was first introduced to me through my wife, she had gone to Sephora in the mall back in California, and she had picked up a sample of this, and the sales lady on the floor said, yeah, this is my favorite one. And so the sales lady was wearing this as her favorite fragrance to wear. So it's just, to me, I think, I don't know if this is really, I think it's one of my favorite fragrances. It's one of my top sellers, but there is some sweet notes in here. There are some, I think if you look up the original 1 Million, I think there's like some berry notes in there somewhere. So I could kind of understand how this would be worn as a unisex fragrance. But this is one of my top hits, one of my top sellers. And it seems that the women also love it. Certain women tend to love this one. And that's a new trend that I'm seeing now, is that a lot of the sweeter fragrances, some of the men are moving towards those, and some of the more musky fragrances, some of the women are moving towards those. And then some of the original designer companies are actually going towards making everything unisex, like Creed, Tom Ford. I'm seeing a trend with these guys that they're all moving over to having everything unisex. So it's just some little subtle differences that I noticed in the perfume industry. Now the next one I want to talk about is Pink Sugar. Now Pink Sugar reminds me a lot of Anta, which is the Arabian fragrance that I carry, and it smells a lot similar. It smells very similar to Anta, but I've tried this on. I've got some of the Pink Sugar on me by accident, and it came off nice and clean, and if you're making enough testosterone and your pheromones are right as a male, you know, this is something that I could see some men easily getting away with the pink sugar. It's almost like, you know, when you have something sour and you eat it with salt, right? Or you eat something salty with something sweet. It kind of like, the one thing kind of cancels out the other a little bit, and it kind of makes things come off really nice. And that's kind of how the pink sugar is. Is that once, you know, certain guys, I'm not going to say every guy, but certain guys who would wear something like pink sugar or something kind of fruity, the testosterone that your body makes and the pheromones that your body makes tends to kind of cancel out that sweetness a little bit and kind of make the sweetness project a little bit more like spicier, right? So this is one thing that I like. It's not a regular wear, but pink sugar is definitely one of the biggest sellers on extravagantfragrances.com. And I actually knew a guy who, he didn't really have a lot as far as inventory, and this guy at one point, a good friend of mine, at one point he was actually homeless, and the oils, you know, just selling the oils really helped to get him out of a rut. That's the thing about this business. The oil business is a very resilient business. You know, when you're talking about profit, you know, the profits are really good. And what this friend of mine was doing was, he was actually putting things like pink sugar and Egyptian musk, and he was putting them in, like, you know, vials about that big, maybe like 2 ml vials, and he would sell them for $1. So by the end of the day, I mean, he had $50, sometimes he had $80 in his pockets. That's not bad for somebody who's coming off of being homeless and you don't have any kind of work or anything like that going for you. So pink sugar was a standalone product for him. The pink sugar type, it was a standalone product. And when I say standalone product, what I mean by that is that you don't really have to have anything to support that. You can get away with just selling that all day long. And so that's what the pink sugar type was doing for him, is it was a standalone product that he could rely on with a lot of customers that he ran into. And I think I'm going to do a separate segment or a series on standalone fragrances, because there are some fragrances that are kind of like hit or miss. You know, you might have some people that will bite on certain fragrances, and then like maybe for a whole season, winter or spring, it just doesn't sell, and it's not popular until the next winter or springtime the next year. So we'll go over standalone fragrances, and this pink sugar is definitely one of them. We'll go over that a little bit later. The last fragrance that could easily be worn as a unisex for some folks out there is the Rocawear 9IX type. And this is originally marketed as a men's fragrance. But when I was in California, I was going door to door, and I was trying to set up wholesale counts in different little small shops and, you know, clothing stores. And every once in a while, you'll get somebody who, you know, they don't want to commit to a big, you know, commitment, you know, with a rack display and everything like that, and they might just want some stuff for themselves. So I ran across a Somali sister, and she, out of everything that I had female fragrances with me and everything, and she said, no, I like that one. She said, I like the 91, the 9IX, the Rocawear type. That one's fresh. I like it. It's nice. I want that for myself. And it maybe worked really well with her body chemistry, but she loved it. So this is something that, you know, depending on the type of chemistry you are, you know, how your body projects and everything and heats up, this is something that could swing over to being a unisex. You know, worn, promoted as a men's fragrance, but worn for women. So that's it for today. I have some other fragrances that could easily be worn as unisex fragrances. Of course, I have the unisex fragrances, but I'm talking like as far as you know, like a men or women's being worn as unisex fragrances. I will touch bases a little bit more on that later on. Right now, I gotta get to work, folks. So subscribe, like this video. If you have any questions, comment, send me an email. Best way to contact me now is really through email. If you have to call me, but I answer emails and I check my emails every day. So that's probably the best way to get in contact with me. But click the links below when you get a chance and like this video. Take care and have a good one.